I know yawning is often perceived as rude because it implies that I'm either bored or extremely tired. And it's true. People do yawn more at bedtime or after they've woken up, and they do yawn when they're bored. People even yawn in their sleep. But yawning isn't that simple. If it were, how could you explain that some paratroopers yawn before they jump, as do some violinists do before they go on stage, Olympic athletes before their event, or even college students before giving a speech? These are hardly situations in which people are likely to be bored. Dictionary.com defines yawning as an involuntary reflex of simultaneous inhalation of air and stretching of eardrums followed by exhalation of breath. We know it's involuntary because we do it before we're born. According to Robert Provine, a developmental psychologist of the University of Maryland, there was research that had shown that 11-week-old fetuses yawn. And while yawning is commonly associated with relaxation and drowsiness, your heart rate can actually rise as much as 30%. The simple truth is that even though humans have been yawning for possibly as long as they have existed, we have no clue as to why we do it. So what's behind this mysterious epidemic of yawning? As we look to answer this question, I will first explore theories as to why we yawn, then look at what makes yawning so contagious, and finally discuss the cultural significance of yawning. The truth is, no one really knows the real root of yawning. Some theories have been made, though, and it's likely that some combinations of them is true. It was once believed that yawning gets more oxygen into the body or expels more carbon dioxide, but this theory is now thought to be seriously flawed, if not plain wrong. In 2007, researchers proposed that since people yawn more in situations where their brains are likely to be warmer, it's the body's way of controlling brain temperature. Yawning is a means to keep the brain temperature cool and alert. Some think that yawning began with our ancestors, who used yawning to use their teeth and intimidate others. We can look to several other animals, for example. Charles Darwin, in his book, The Expression of the Emotions in Man and Animals, mentioned that baboons yawn to threaten their enemies, possibly to be displaying large canine teeth. Similarly, Siamese fighting fish yawn only when they see other Siamese fighting fish or their own mirror image. And their yawn often accompanies aggressive attack. Guinea pigs also yawn in display of dominance or anger, displaying their impressive incisor teeth. Interestingly, while all vertebrates yawn, only humans, chimpanzees, and possibly dogs find yawning contagious. Humans don't find them contagious until 4 years old. Yawning has long been observed to be contagious. Back in 1508, Aramis wrote, "One man's yawning makes another man yawn." Observing the person's yawning face, reading or thinking about yawning, or even looking at a picture of yawning can make a person yawn. In fact, I probably made some of you yawn by saying the word yawn. Other people are probably yawning when they saw you yawn, and they might have even heard you yawn, making them yawn. Yawning is orally contagious. If you play an audio tape of a yawn to a blind person, they'll yawn too. Compounding the mystery is the odd way in which the contagious power of yawning is largely unconscious. We can see someone yawn, yearn to replicate the action ourselves, and do it all without thinking about it. Other times we are aware of it, though it still floats somewhere beneath the realm of reason and purposeful actions. The Finnish government recently funded a brain scanning study which indicates that contagious yawning does not rely on brain mechanisms of action understanding. As Rita Har, one of the researchers, explained, it seems to be an automatically released and most likely very archaic sequence of physical actions. Such synchronization can be essential for species survival and works without understanding. It could be that the yawn was a social signal to increase alertness, which kept our hunter-gatherer forebears alive for a little longer. Recent studies show yawning may be linked to one's capacity for empathy. As Garrett Norris, a lecturer in psychology at the University of Leeds, states, contagious yawning indicates empathy. It indicates an appreciation of other people's behavioral and psychological states. A 2007 study found that young children with autism do not increase their yawning frequency after seeing videos of other people yawning. In contrast to typically developing children, since autism is a disorder that affects a person's social interaction skills that include the ability to emphasize with others, the autistic kid's lack of yawning, watching others do so, could indicate they're less empathetic. The relationship between yawn contagion and empathy is further supported by a behavioral study conducted by Ivan Norsha and Elizabeth Pilecki. The study revealed that yawns are more contagious between members of the same family, followed by friends, acquaintances, and lastly, strangers. Several superstitions have been developed regarding the act of yawning and the harm that the act can do to the individual who is yawning. Ancient Romans believed that a yawn was the sign of danger was near. The ancient Greek and Mayans believed that yawning was a sign that a person's soul was trying to escape from a person's body. Covering the mouth when you're yawning might prevent the soul from coming out. The superstitions may have arisen to prevent people from committing the faux pas of yawning loudly. In another's presence, as George Washington said, cough, sneeze, sigh, or yawn. Do it not loud, but privately, and speak not in your yawning, but your handkerchief or before your face and turn aside. Superstitions may also have arisen from concerns over public health and the spreading of disease. Polydore Virgil wrote in 1499 that it was customary to make the sign of the cross over one's mouth when yawning, since a like deadly plague was sometimes in yawning. Wherefore men used to fence themselves with the sign of the cross, which custom we retain at this day. Even though we don't know for sure why we yawn, we do know lots of interesting things about yawning. You start in the utero. Yawning possibly has both psychological and evolutionary origins. And more than half of you will yawn if you see someone else yawn or even hear the word yawn. With that in mind, it's possible that some of us have gone into a yawn overdrive over the last few minutes. I hope it's not because my speech was overly boring. It may just be because you couldn't help yourself. As Dr. Seuss said, a yawn is quite catching, you see, like a cough. It just takes one yawn to start and other yawns off.